Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 22nd of September, comes to you from London. And we're seeing the dollar just pulling back now, not quite into bearish territory on the lagging line, but on the price we're coming through. So we're just seeing that dollar weakness returning, and we're seeing the euro strength ahead of the German elections here. We're just now seeing sentiment really improving for the euro, and the short term is back above the cloud, but not yet on the lagging line. Of course, a win for Merkel is priced in, so we just need to be aware that the scope for the euro to fall, no matter what the result, because the win is already priced in. And we're seeing here the Japanese yen, dollar actually strengthening against sterling. The sterling price has just held this 136 level quite remarkably for the last several days, so we really are just holding on to those gains. And against the euro, sterling also holding its gains, but still got work to do to be bullish on the long-term chart. We'd need to be through 120 to the euro to be convincingly bullish for sterling. And of course, the point and figure chart still looks pretty bearish, and there's a shortage of upside targets, so this run may not continue. The Swiss against the Swiss franc, sterling looking quite strong, and against the Australian dollar, we're seeing Aussie dollar weakness there as well. The S&P 500 index is holding on to its gains at the 2500 level. Not much change there. The Nasdaq is actually just turning a bit bearish in the short term, and we're below the cloud on the lagging line. So Nasdaq is the weak point at the moment. The Dow Jones holding on to its gains, looking strong. The Russell 2000 index is now nudging new all-time highs. If we close at these levels, that would be a weekly closing high. So that's looking pretty good. The S&P 500 future is just bearish below the cloud, and the Nasdaq E-mini is actually pretty bearish and off 1/3% at the moment. So that does suggest that US markets will open lower today, and maybe we'll end the week just falling further on that Nasdaq. Footsie 100 is looking bearish, still below the cloud. We've got downside targets here of between 1 and 2.5%, and the Footsie 250 index we're seeing also is bearish below the cloud. The DAX is actually holding on to its gains, and the Nikkei 225 is actually still looking pretty bullish on that weaker yen. Hang Seng is holding on to its gains, looking bullish on all three charts. And the Shanghai index just turning a little bit bearish here, so we are just seeing a sell-off in the local Chinese market. The Sensex is still holding its gains, so it's looking pretty bullish. And the S&P 200 Australian index is actually just still below the cloud, and a lot of downside targets here. Notice this: 1%, 4%, 3%, 1%, 2.5%. Lots of downside targets, just really suggesting we are going lower. We haven't activated this medium-term target yet, and there is support there on the point and figure chart, as we're seeing on the long term, but it is just really pulling back the Australian market. Brent crude is continuing to go higher. We're seeing 56.50 at the moment, so looking pretty good with quite a few upside targets. So Brent back to the high 50s. WTI also looking pretty strong. So that's good news as well for the oil price. US natgas back below $3, fell off very heavily yesterday, probably on storage numbers. We are seeing just that big fall back below $3. So US natgas just struggling around this $3 mark. Copper continuing to sell off, making new lows on the short-term chart, just pulling back, having run a lot on the support side. Taking a look at gold, gold just pushing to try and get back above this $1,300 level. So we are still just weak on gold. Silver, much the same picture. But of course, a weaker dollar will help there. Looking at 10 Treasury yields sitting at 2.3%. So just holding the gains that we've seen this week. Apple's still bearish and making new lows. Apple's the big worry for tech at the moment. Google is actually recovering, and Amazon actually is also through the cloud into bearish territory. So we are just seeing a lot of tech stocks doing that. Facebook sort of sitting in the middle somewhere, just starting to look a little bit weak, and Microsoft just heading lower but still above the cloud just. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. Until Monday, happy charting. See you then.